Hello everyone, welcome back to Agvits Africa. It's Dixon here again with you from 3DSMAX Studio. We started this series on Corona Render. We looked at how to bring in your model from Revit into 3DSMAX, and we had a look at basic way of lightening the scene. So today we're going to kind of recap, finalize this tutorial so that we can move to the next one. So what I'm going to do quickly, I'm going to kind of look at this as if we started from the beginning. We're going to be a little bit quick on this tutorial to just finish it quickly. So let me quickly, I'm just going to delete this Forestpack. I'm just clicking and deleting. Okay. And then I'm going to delete all the lights I click on one, right click and say select similar, and select all the lights in the scene, and I'll delete it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start applying everything from scratch. So what I normally do, I would just want to take you through really my process of how I kind of create my render from the beginning to the end. So let's open a new. We will use the same model, but let's start again. File, import, link Revit. Okay, and we're going to look in our folder where we can find basically our Revit model. So we're just going to open the Revit model. Okay, you see you get a dialog box, and then it will ask you to pick a view. So you can pick any view, it doesn't matter, all of them will come anyway. And then you say attach. Okay, cool. So I'm also going to show you very important things, some very important sites. So Evermotions is a very good site to get some kind of assets for 3DSMAX, V-Ray, Corona. You can see the price here. You can purchase your models and all that. And then I think it's important to also know this. I'll share the link. This is called Relink Bitmaps. This is a very good plugin. I'll show you how to use it. Once you download this and you install it, you are able to relink textures to your asset that you bring in. So we will have a look at that also quickly. Okay, so now we've got our model in. There's our model. Okay, so you can see our basic model from Revit. Okay, so let's go to the top view. I like working from the top view, and I am going to click on the sun and I'll delete it, and then I'll go to select by name, and when I get this dialog box here, I'll search for the sun. I make sure that it's deleted so it's not there. I'll type light, and then I'll select the light in the scene. Okay, and I'll delete that also. For me, the idea is that I don't want any interference in terms of any lighting that comes into this scene. Okay, so the lighting is still there. Let me just switch it off. Okay, so it didn't delete, but I'll just switch it off. Okay, and then what I'll do is that I'll just press Control A, right? Control A to select all the objects in the scene. And then before I do that, let's go to rendering, render setup. And let's make sure that we've got Corona as our renderer. Okay. And then in the common, we're just going to leave it as an output of 1280 by 720. Just leave it like that. And then we, in our scene, pressing anywhere in our scene, we press Control A to select everything, and then we press M on our keyboard to bring in the materials editor. Okay, so then we will select any of the materials, and then we make sure that it's Corona material. if you miss, if you want to kind of understand the basic ways of applying the materials, check part 1, part 2, and part 3. Okay, so I'll choose Corona Physical Material. And normally I give it a name. So you see here, I give it a name of base material. And because this is selected, everything is selected here, I'll just say assign all. The idea is that before I start to add any materials, I would like to have my model as a grayscale and just test lighting, okay? So from Revit, there were some cameras that came. So all these are cameras from Revit, okay? So we can use one of the cameras by going to, you see, user defined, and then we go to, from the top, where it says top, we can go to cameras, and we can pick a camera view. So you see, this is a camera view from Revit. We can pick those camera views. So from yard, this is the view that we're working with from the beginning. So we're going to use the same view, okay? And then it's very important for us to click here where the view is and say show save frame. So show save frame means that, remember when we went to render setup, this is the dimension of the width of 1280 by 720. So that means that if you show save frame, it means that it's showing you exactly where it will render. Okay, you can see that these sides are being cut. So for example, if I change this to, let's say, 1000, you can see immediately. Let me just make it custom, okay, and then change this to, let's say, 2000. Let me switch off the ratio lock so that it's not kind of fixed. There, change that because I don't want the ratio to be fixed. You can see, there you go. So if we reduce that to, let's say, 2.5, we have a shot like this. Okay, so let's say this is what we're dealing with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to set our lighting, and we're going to have a look at we're going to just use an HDRI. Okay, so how do you use HDRI? We'll go to rendering, environment, or we can press 8 to take us to environment. And then when you come to environment, you see it's physical sun and sky. We're just going to click there, and then we will choose Corona bitmap. Immediately we say Corona bitmap. It will take us to a place for us to look for what do you call it? A map to apply. So let's press on M to go to our materials, okay, and then let's drag this Corona bitmap to any of the slots that we have not used in the scene. So for example, maybe this one. So we drop it there, and we have to say instant, okay. So you pick on instant, and then immediately we do that, it takes us here to look for a bitmap. Okay, so let's quickly look for a bitmap. So I'm going to quickly look for an HDRI. We're going to pick an HDRI quickly. So you have to look on your computer. I'll also leave a link where you can find an HDRI. So I'm just going to pick an HDRI. So it will load because I'm using a different screen, so that's where I'm picking up the HDRI from. But you see that this red material is going to change to a sky. Can you see? Even our background now is changed. Okay, so I like to quickly test kind of what I'm seeing. Okay, so this is basically what I'm seeing there. Okay, there. But remember, this camera is from Revit, okay, which is okay, but we can change it. Corona picks up the camera, it can render it, that's fine. But I would like to change it to Corona camera. So create a Corona camera from the active viewport. So I click that so that that becomes Corona camera 1. Okay, so I always do that. Okay. Okay, so you can see there comes my model, the grayscale. So let's cancel that. And then we just going to go to Corona materials by clicking on this icon here. And then we have our Corona materials. And then we're going to go to glass there. And you have clear glass. So if I select the glass in the scene and then I click on the clear glass, I can just assign it. And just by right clicking on the material and say assign to selected object. Okay, there you go. So this glass was different, so we can give it maybe a different kind of color material, so or glass. So let's do that. And I think there's another glass here. Let's assign it. Okay, quickly we test render. Sometimes you can bring in an HDRI and maybe you want to increase the brightness. So if you go to material and you see this is your HDRI, and if you kind of go to the output of the HDRI, you can increase the amount of the output. So let's say, for example, we increase it to 5. Look at the HDRI here. You see? So if you render, for example, you can see, but you need to be careful because it can be overexposed. So I'm just going to cancel that and I will change it out to 1. Okay. Now render again. Because the HDRI sometimes are in a very good kind of lighting setup. So you don't want to kind of destroy that or just kind of change those values. So you can leave that, but you can always also go to post render buttons here, and you can change that. So if I change this, you see, it kind of increases, you know, but also again, be careful, don't overuse it. Okay, so we leave it at 0. I think it's perfect. The highlight compression, you have to kind of increase it a bit. And then here you can also play with the white balance as well. You can kind of work with your contrast, your saturation, you can work with it as well. So you must just play with it and see which works for the specific scene. Normally, I'll have like a reference or something that I'm kind of working towards. Okay, so let's say we're happy with the lighting. Let's go to our top view. And here we have the Corona interactive section. Check my part 3. Check the part 3, the tutorials part 3. You will see how to set up, I think part 2 or part 3. You will see how to set up the interactive render. Okay, so you can see when I click, every view that I click, it changes to, the interactive changes to that, okay, which is nice. But also sometimes you would want it to remain in one kind of camera. You can do that by going to render setup, render setup, and you can easily lock this camera, this view, which is Corona camera 1, and you can just say lock, just lock it. And now even if I move my mouse to this one, it doesn't change, it's still staying on this one. Okay, which is I think which is good. So yeah, okay, I don't need show save frame on the plan on the top view. I'm gonna switch that off. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to bring in some lights. I'm going to hide these light that came from Revit by selecting on one of them. So I select on this one and say select similar. I select all of them. Some of them, sometimes when you try to delete, it doesn't delete, but this one did, which is fine. It's great. Okay, so let's bring in some light by going to the create panel, and then on the light icon here, you change here to Corona and say Corona light, and then we're going to use a rectangle, and we're going to just draw, click and drag to create a light. Okay, and we will go to like a side view, left view, and just kind of move that light to where it's supposed to be. Okay, so I'm just going to move that light. Let me go to like front view. I'm trying to position it in this light fixture here. There you go. So the light is there. If we increase the intensity of the light, we will see it in the interactive view. So if you go to modify and we just increase the intensity to, let's say, 500, for example. You can see our light because it was kind of inside this fixture, so it was not showing. Okay, so you can see how the lights kind of work there. Okay, really, really nice, really beautiful. Okay, so I'll go back to the top view and let's change this intensity to like 100. Okay, and then I'll copy this light by pressing shift down and dragging, and then I'll say if you say instant, whatever changes you do on this will happen on that one. So we say instant, and then we're just going to rotate. But when we're rotating, to be able to rotate as every 5 degrees, if you click on this icon here, say angle snap toggle, it will only kind of, so that you don't get a weird kind of rotation, it will only move in 5 degrees. Okay, so now we've got our light there, really looking nice. Okay, so let's copy the same light into here. Okay, but this time around we'll say copy instead of instant, and the reason being that I want to be able to manipulate this one different from that one. Okay, so we're just going to do that, and then I'll also put in some light in the first floor. So again, I can use the same light, so I can go to front view and I can just press shift and drag. So you can see in the 3D view our light is moving up. So I've got my light there, copy instead of instant again. Then I'll go to top view. Okay, but remember, in this space the light probably is not in a fitting like this, so I can go to modify and I can change the scale of that light. Like I can change the dimension of that light. So let's say I say 500 by 500, so I've got this kind of a square type of a light. Okay, so I've got that. Okay, remember we're trying to simulate a real life situation, so be careful of the sizes of the lights. You don't want to have something that is like really massive kind of a light fitting there, so be careful of that as well. Okay, let's leave it at 500 by 500. Okay, then I'll copy the same light by pressing shift down again into the rooms where the windows are, so you can see those windows, and again copy, not instant, and this one I'll reduce it to 200 by 200 again, and again I'll copy that light into the next room, copy, and then I'll copy it again to the other room, again copy again. Okay, so you can see how nice our render is looking. Okay, so let's kind of try test render and see. With very simple clicks, look, we've gotten something quite nice and beautiful. Okay, so let's close that. And what we're going to do now is quickly kind of add some materials in there. So I'm going to maximize that by looking at the bottom right. You see an icon here saying maximize viewport toggle. I'm gonna click that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video. So let's go to the materials, and we're just going to use some basic materials. We've got our materials there. We'll go to wall, okay, and we're just going to kind of add some materials there. So just like the glass, you just click, then you right click on the material that you want to add and say assign material. And I always add a UV map. You click on the object, then you go to the modify tab, modify list, and then you choose your UV map and you make sure it's set on box. Okay, and yeah, you can set up the measurements, or you can also say real world map scale, and it will try and kind of scale it to ratio. Okay, so let's look for some materials. Let's go for some stone. Okay, let's apply some of the stone there. There you go. Let's go to roof. Let's apply a roof there. Add some UV there. Okay, let's maybe give this thing some wood kind of texture. They've got quite a beautiful collection of materials here that we can use. I'm going to apply it to the wood. It's not showing UV map. It's a box. And if you want it to show, you can press on M, and then you can pick any of these materials, and to let this material show on any of these boards that you've selected here, you click on pick material from object, and you click, and you can see this is the wood. Okay, so you can just click to show. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't show, but let's test render. Or even in your interactive render, you could have seen if it's applying or not. So you can see there's a wood. Okay, so let's see. Okay, that's the wood, looking quite nice. Really nice. Okay, great. So, and you can even see the roof also coming out quite nicely. Okay, great stuff. Okay, so quickly we're going to go to Forestpack by clicking on Forestpack icon here. In the part 3, I also show the Forestpack, and we're basically just going to add some grass material by just selecting which one that we want, and make sure we choose the type of renderer. Let me say load. We click on our grass there, and there we have our grass. Let's test it out. Okay, there you have it. Let's increase our exposure to just see, but we will switch it off. So we will lower the exposure again. Okay, so there you have it. Quickly, we're gonna place some trees in the scene, and I'll show you what I mentioned in terms of the relink of materials or textures. So we're just going to bring in, and it's quite simple. Like you just, if you have the 3ds file, so the 3DSMAX files will be something like this. And basically what you do is just drag and drop. So I am just going to drag, let's say number 3, for example, and drop it to my scene, and I'll say merge. Okay, so when I say merge, you see I'll have my tree will come through. Okay, and there you have it. So you can position your tree, and if you go to like your front view, you can see how it kind of sit there, and you can also do it in a 3D view so that you can see how it sits in the landscape. Okay, so there's no kind of way to do it. You need to choose what works for you. Okay, so you see this tree, when it comes in, it doesn't really, you can't see the textures and everything. This is where the relink bitmap comes handy. So you click on relink, okay, and then once you click on the relink, I'll leave a link below. Basically what you can do quickly is say add, and then you can go to the folder where you have your textures and just relink. So I've already done that. So if I go to that folder and I say relink, you will see that if I render now, I will have my tree and my texture, everything will be in. Okay. Okay, so you will see our tree is coming in now. There you go, with the texture and everything. Okay. Okay, so I'll quickly populate the scene with some trees, and then yeah, we will kind of fast forward the render, do a render, and then a little bit of post render to end the tutorials. So see you shortly. Okay, so I've basically populated the scene with some of the trees that I showed before. And yeah, so this is a scene that we have created. And the good thing about Corona in terms of the post render is that with the light mix, you can actually begin to play with the light. So you can see, you can switch on and off the light. You can change the color. You can also see that in my previous tutorials, I think in part 3, you can see that. Okay, so you can basically work around in terms of the way you want the lighting to look. Okay, so we can work around it a bit. Okay, so let's just have some fun here. Maybe we change this one, just playing around. Sorry guys. Yeah, so you can see we can really create something quite nice. You can even switch off some of the kind of garden lights as well. You can even switch off the environment. You can switch it off as well. And then if you go to the posts, we can also play around with the LUTs. So if we check the LUTs on, you can check it on, and you can actually explore different kind of LUTs. So I mean, this is quite nice. You can explore different kind of LUT. Let's just save this. So okay, so we've just saved that, and I'm just going to just take it to Photoshop and just a little post render. Yeah, so you can see that actually Corona render is also very simple to work your way around it. Let's just drag that image in there. In my next tutorial that I'll create, we will explore how to kind of add different what do you call this, effects. So like we can add like your ambient inclusion and other things to it to be able to kind of do some bit of post render. So we'll have a look at that. So here I just double click to duplicate to create a layer, to make it a layer, and then I press Alt and drag to duplicate it. And I'm just going to go to camera raw filter, and whilst I'm in camera raw filter, just wait for it. We have this here. You can actually say auto. So auto kind of shows you what automatically to be, but let's leave it a short, and we can play with the temperature and everything. So we can work a little bit around with it, kind of reduce exposure a little bit, increase contrast a bit. We can also kind of increase the shadows a little bit, and then clarity, increase clarity a little bit, maybe a little bit of vibrance could do also. Let's see what happens if we increase the highlight or reduce the highlight. Sometimes what I do is I kind of just go the stream to see what it gives me. Okay, so that's quite nice. You can see the difference. See, that's a difference. If you want to kind of edit it again, you can just drag to the next, and then again you can go camera raw filter. And also in the camera raw filter there are some kind of presets that you can also explore as well. So I'm going to have a look at that also. So here are some presets. You click on them and you can just see as you select what you get. Okay, the good thing about duplicating the layers is that I can switch this off and I can just save this image. I can say 01 post render 1, save it as a JPEG, right? Then I can, after that I can switch this on and I can say file, save as, and then I can give it another name to. All right, so basically I've got two of these images, which is this one, which is that one, and then I've got this one. So I've got two of them. If we put them next to each other, we can see the difference. Okay. Yes, guys, once again, thank you very much for joining my YouTube channel. I'm looking forward to creating another channel. We'll also explore V-Ray. So basically, I use Corona, I use V-Ray, and I use D5 render. It all depends on the project. It depends on what I'm trying to get. So yes, we'll take another project in Corona and kind of render it from the beginning to the end again. Maybe a project that has a water kind of feature, a swimming pool or something, and we'll have a look at it, and then we'll also have a look at V-Ray. So thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video, and you can also hit the notification button so that you get notified on all the tutorials that I create. Thank you so much, and see you again next time. Bye.